The blackness of space is a silent sea, where titanic destinies unfold in whispers and screams. For eons, two apex species, one bred for war, the other for survival, have danced on the knife's edge of extinction and domination. Now, a new saga begins, where blood, honor, and evolution collide. Far beyond the Milky Way, on the outer rim of a system long marked forbidden by even the most daring spacefarers, an ancient Yautja ship hovered in geostationary orbit above a world shrouded in a thick toxic atmosphere. This world, codenamed LV-79-1, was believed dead, a failed terraforming experiment abandoned by human corporations decades ago. But the Yautja, known to many as predators, had detected something alive. Scout-class hunters were sent, and only one returned, badly wounded, his mandibles trembling with a story of horror. He spoke of a living cathedral of bone and mucus, a vast hive woven into the planet's hollowed crust, and at its center, a queen unlike any recorded before. This wasn't just another xenomorph matriarch. She was larger, more cunning, and bore unique markings that some elders recognized from the glyphs of the Forbidden Codex. A creature possibly born from a genetic mutation in an ancient hive, a queen that had survived wars long forgotten. The Xenomorph Queen of LV-79-1 wasn't defending a nest. She was building an empire. The High Council of Yautja knew the implications. If this queen was left unchecked, her spawn could evolve into an unstoppable force. Her genetic adaptability was rapidly outpacing that of standard xenomorphs. Worse yet, her hive mind had begun exhibiting signs of tactical intelligence. Ambushes, traps, even evidence of interspecies communication attempts with the planet's corrupted fauna. This threat required more than a regular hunt. It demanded the ultimate answer. From the core of Yautja Prime, deep within a citadel built from the bones of colossal alien beasts, arose a champion, an upgraded predator, the culmination of centuries of genetic refinement and cybernetic augmentation. Selected from birth and trained in arenas where failure meant death, this warrior was named Veykor, meaning shadow that devours fire. Veykor was no ordinary Yautja. His body was a fusion of flesh, nanosteel and bioplasma circuitry. His dreadlocks carried runes etched in molten gold, earned from victories across galaxies. Veykor was enhanced beyond his kin. Heightened reflexes, reinforced bones layered with iridium, skin capable of absorbing minor plasma blasts, and a neural interface that allowed real-time weapon modulation and combat predictions. But most of all, Veykor carried the Veykor Spear, a relic of the old hunts, passed down from the first predator to slay a Xenomorph Prime. Forged from alien metals and pulsating with a living AI, the spear could shift forms mid-battle: blade, whip, lance, and cannon. As the Yautja elders performed the ceremonial branding on Veykor armor, marking him as Kainde Amadaka, the Deathbringer to hard meat, a blood-red moon eclipsed the star of LV-79-1. A sign, an omen, Veykor descended in a firestorm aboard his single-pilot warpod, cloaked in spectral shadow. The ship pierced through LV-79-1's atmosphere, shaking as acid rains hissed against its alloy hull. It landed within the outskirts of the Hive Valley, where once human cities had long been consumed by biomechanical webbing and egg clusters. He emerged, silent, scanning the terrain. Xenomorph drones moved like shadows across rooftops and tunnels, avoiding direct conflict. Strange, the Queen was watching through their eyes, measuring her prey. She had never faced a predator like this before, but neither had Veykor faced a queen so ancient, so purposeful. Over the next 6 nights, Veykor carved a path through the hive. Not with brute force alone, but with skill, patience, and adaptation. He used advanced cloaking, holographic decoys, and volatile traps. He skinned a xenomorph brute alive and used its acid-resistant shell to reinforce his own armor. He dissected a runner-class morph to understand its nervous system and used it to craft sonar jammers. But every step closer to the heart of the Hive brought new nightmares. Xenomorphs with bone-plated armor, acid breath, and tails tipped with energy pulse. The Queen had not just birthed them, she had engineered them. And then, in the blackened catacombs of a long-buried nuclear bunker, Katal found her. The Xenomorph Queen towered over him, her crested crown scraping the ceiling. Her hide was matte obsidian, veined with crimson bioluminescence. Her second pair of arms were longer, tipped with serrated claws. She had eyes, real eyes, mutated and unnatural, and they locked onto Katal not with rage but with intelligence. She screamed, not in fury but in defiance, calling forth her elite guard, Praetorians mutated beyond any known form. The chamber echoed with the beating of claws against steel. Katal spun his Veykor Spear, shifting it into cannon mode. The Queen's shriek rose once more, shaking the very walls of her throne room. The time for the hunt was over. The final war had begun. The air was thick with pheromones, acid vapor, and the low-frequency hum of a living hive. Katal Vek, the upgraded predator, stood alone in the Queen's inner sanctum, surrounded by a dozen evolving Praetorian. Their black exoskeletons shimmered like oil, their elongated skulls twitching as they analyzed him, snarling, slithering, communicating in high-pitched frequencies too complex for the untrained ear. Katal's targeting reticle pulsed across his helmet visor. Heart rates, limb velocity, heat signatures, all data fed directly into his neural interface. With a single breath, he triggered the Veykor Spear to extend into dual mode. One end, a plasma-charged blade. The other, a whip lined with nanite fangs. Then came the signal. The Xenomorph Queen let out a guttural roar that cracked stalactites from the chamber ceiling. Her children charged, screaming through rows of fanged jaws. Katal moved. His whip lashed first, slicing through the air with a sizzling crack, coiling around a Praetorian's neck before the serrated teeth activated. The beast's head came off in a spray of acidic blood. Katal rolled sideways, dodging a tail strike that shattered the obsidian floor behind him. With blinding speed, he drove the spear blade into the soft underside of another drone's throat and twisted upward, cleaving its skull in two. But the Queen's guards adapted. Two flanked from behind, one leaping high, while the other barreled forward like a bulldozer. Katal activated his shoulder-mounted plasma caster and fired. A blue-hot burst pierced the chest of the flying creature, sending it crashing into the wall in flames. But the charger slammed into him with titanic force, driving the predator through a column of living sparks flew from Katal's armor as he rolled into a crouch. His HUD flickered but rebooted instantly. He launched twin blades from his wrist gauntlet, embedding them into the attacker's knees. As it stumbled, he pounced, dismembering it in a storm of surgical strikes. Then silent, the Queen approached, stepping over the corpses of her slain offspring. Her massive tail slithered behind her like a serpent, twitching with anticipation. Unlike her children, she did not attack blind. She studied Katal, observing his damaged armor, his breathing pattern, the slowing twitch of his weapon. Katal circled her. The Queen hissed, then struck like lightning. Her tail cracked against the floor where he once stood, gouging a trench of acid. Katal countered with a spinning slash of his spear, severing part of her secondary limb. She recoiled, then rammed him with her head crest, pinning him to the wall. Teeth snapped inches from his face. Acid drool sizzled on his chest plate. He activated his pulse detonation. An electric blast surged from his armor, sending the Queen staggering backward. Smoke rose from her scorched carapace. Katal coughed blood into his helmet, a broken rib stabbing inward. But pain was fuel now. The hunt was near its end. He leapt high, flipping over her and landing on her back. With all his strength, he drove the Veykor Spear into the Queen's spine. She howled, a scream so deafening, it cracked the Hive walls. Green fluid exploded outward. The queen thrashed violently, slamming her body into the hive walls, trying to crush her attacker. Katal held on, but then she adapted. Her upper arms reached backward, grabbing him in mid-motion and hurling him across the chamber. He smashed through a cluster of egg sacs, emerging covered in slime. Before he could rise, the queen was on him, tail raised to impale. But he had one last card. Katal's gauntlet blinked red. He activated the final mode of the Veykor Spear, Overload Surge. The spear's core erupted in blinding plasma, transforming the entire weapon into a glowing storm of molten energy. As the queen plunged her tail downward, Katal intercepted it with the spear, the resulting shockwave vaporizing the tail tip. Katal rose with a guttural roar of his own. The queen attacked again, her claws slashing, her jaws extending, but Katal dodged, ducked, and stabbed. Plasma met carapace, blades met bow, and finally, with a spinning leap, Katal drove the full length of the Veykor Spear into the queen's throat, piercing through her neck and exploding out the back of her skull. She froze, a sickened gurgle echoed from her split jaws, and the Xenomorph Queen, mother of the Hive, engineer of evolution, collapsed in a heap of acidic death. Katal fell to one knee, his armor hissing and melting in places, his breathing ragged. The Hive trembled. Without their queen, the Xenomorphs would descend into chaos. He activated his beacon, signaling extraction. From above, the Yautja dreadnought uncloaked. Katal, covered in queen blood, dragged her severed crest behind him as proof of the victory. A storm of xenomorph shrieks echoed through the Hive, but none dared attack. Their minds were shattered, their reign was over. As Katal ascended into the sky, he looked back at the burning Hive. The queen had fallen, but the hunt was eternal.